So, in this explainer, we're going to map out a really profound week-long psychological journey. And it all comes from this fascinating dream journal. Now, this isn't just about weird dreams. It's a deep dive into what feels like a real alchemical transformation. You know, a shift from being part of the crowd to becoming a totally sovereign individual. Let's get into it.
Right off the bat, this quote kind of gives away the ending before we even start the journey. We're about to see a complete identity flip, from someone who just follows the road everyone else is on to someone who actually creates the very bones of a new world. The real question is, how in the world did they get there?
All right, so the journey kicks off in what the old alchemists called negretto. This is the blackening phase, and you can think of it as a kind of psychological demolition. It's all about facing and clearing out the old world, all the junk from past identities, all the external pressures, to make room for what's coming next.
Okay, this slide, this is basically the roadmap for the entire transformation. You can see the shift so clearly. We go from being the stressed driver of a public bus, doing all this manual labor for the soul, always looking for someone else's approval, to becoming the sovereign architect who's in charge of a heavy truck filled with their own destiny, working with digital code and building from their own internal blueprint.
But you know, leaving that old world behind, it's never as simple as just walking out the door. The dreamer has to deal with these ghosts of the past. There's this inner overlord who's still demanding they win at everything, a weird test of authority, and even the ghost of a corporate auditor, which is really just a symbol for all that systemic fear and judgment you have to get over. These are the last bosses you have to beat before the real climb can start. So now we're getting into the journey itself. This is the albedo, or the whitening. After you've cleared out all that darkness of the old self, this part is all about purification. It's about separating yourself through really conscious, deliberate choices. This is where the dreamer stops reacting and starts actively building a new path. And here, this is the moment that forces the choice. The old system, that public bus that just carries everyone along the same old route, it's not just broken, it's getting actively dangerous. The brakes are shot. Staying on that collective path is no longer a safe or sustainable option.
So this brings us to the big crossroads. The dream shows this looping lift where all these terrified people are just going around and around in circles of fear and consumption. And the question is just so stark. Do you stay on that nightmare ride with everyone else, or do you find the guts to get off and walk your own path, even if it means you're walking it completely alone?
And this is so crucial. It's a conscious choice. The dreamer doesn't just jump from a crashing bus, they park it. It's a deliberate, thoughtful act. And they walk away not like a victim, but like a disciplined warrior, putting on this new identity of internal strength and total self-reliance.
Okay, so you're on a new road, but you can't build a new reality with old, rusty tools, right? This brings us to the citronitis phase, the yellowing, which is like the sun coming up on a new consciousness. This is all about getting a whole new operating system for your reality.
And the first tool, well, it's a bit of a plot twist. The dreamer finds a silver USB stick. But this isn't some prize they won. It's the sudden realization that the program, the code for the future they want, even the money, it's an internal resource they've had the whole time. It just needed to be plugged in and configured.
And then comes this shift. It's brilliant. Instead of constantly having to hunt and struggle for energy and sustenance, the dreamer sets up a subscription to vitality. Nourishment becomes automated. It's a symbol of moving away from the daily grind of survival and into a state of effortless flow, where vital energy is just a guaranteed part of the new system.
So with this new OS and these new tools, the dreamer's whole identity gets a massive upgrade. They become a mentor, helping guide others. They become a curator, organizing their energy instead of chasing it. And they become a sovereign, able to create their own safe space on their own terms, proving they don't need the old world's locks and keys anymore.
And here we are, the final alchemical stage, rubedo. This is the reddening, the point where spirit and matter finally come together. The big transit is officially over. The dreamer has arrived, and the work completely changes from moving to building.
This timeline just perfectly captures the whole story. You see the journey from that failing public bus to the heavy truck carrying this huge personal destiny. There's even a little lesson about managing your energy from an encounter with the anima, the inner feminine and her car that's run out of gas. But the final stage? No vehicle at all. Because why would you need one when you're finally at your destination?
This is such a powerful moment.
The old potential, which was symbolized by a big warehouse full of stuff, has been totally cleared away. All that's left is blank, empty land. The entire purpose of life has shifted from getting somewhere to building something brand new right from the foundation up.
So what does this new act of creation actually look like? Well, it's not some grand, flashy explosion. It's quiet. It's focused work in the dark. The job now is to define the fundamental logic, the base code for a box of images, which is like a container for a new reality. It's about going back over and over again to the core principles before you even think about building anything on top of it.
And there it is. The transformation is absolute. The journey from the stressed driver to the sovereign architect is finally complete. The job is no longer to transport people, it's to create the very ground of reality itself.
And so we end on this really powerful, lingering question. The architect is standing there on this blank slate. The outside world is screaming, offering up all these other solutions, other blueprints, and the final choice is, do you look out there for the answers, or do you trust the simple, fundamental, looping code that's coming from inside of you? That's the cliffhanger, and it's the ultimate test for the new sovereign.